which references to that's
to
the,
get us thinking about.
the act
And I
and
think
the.
we're just waiting for guidance maybe from the board. That's, I may have that wrong, but that was the sense I got. Attorney for the board.
He's trying to put some middle.
No, that's why.
I'm sending you. Because he usually don't want to speak out since he's here.
He just attorney for the board.
Right.
But the city.
City has their own attorney.
Right. The city fund pays for.
Yes, so that's part
But
of
it
the service.
doesn't represent us.
No.
Okay, we'll call the, meeting back to order. Thank you, for getting copies. And I think just for the record, the, agenda has discussion of substantive rules, but technically, and correct me if I'm wrong, what we have are rules of procedure, but the substantive rules are discussed within. Is that correct?
That's a very good question. And apologize for not having more historical knowledge on this, but since my time with the city, there have been discussions around the need for substantive rules. So the substantive rules are mentioned in the session act, and to my knowledge, there are not currently separate substantive rules. And I think that's what Mr. Henning has been researching and looking into.
Yes.
Is, what exactly do the substantive rules cover, what does that mean? So the procedural rules that you have were created by this body and approved by city council, and those speak to procedurally how you go about your meetings and, cover things that are procedural. So, my understanding, the substantive rules are a different set of documents.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Madam Chair, and members of the board, I believe that there's, and again, none of us, we all have very short tenure here. But there is some history that Mr. Henning, your council, would
Yes.
have Right. regarding the substantive rules, where you are in that process, and more details about how that should happen. So I would respectfully suggest that perhaps a meeting convene where he can attend.
Right.
To further flesh out what those substantive rules.
You're right, Ms. Rowe, he has been doing research and has given, some memorandum to Mr., did you receive that memorandum since you just came on? Okay, I'll make sure that you get that as well. That probably is a good idea. I believe he will be able to return in January. He's, his, contract calls for a specific amount of time outside of, hearings, and he's used that time, so he'll be able to return starting in January. And we can make sure Mr. Webb gets the memorandum and all the preliminary research that he's done. And then can maybe, I think you're correct that having him here, because he's the one that's done the research and the work, would be very helpful.
Yeah,
Mr. Eskovich.
the Senate Bill 556, the Sessions Act, is very nonspecific. It's under Section 4 of the law, and it says the board may make or may amend substantive rules that basically need to be approved by city council, but that's about as far as it goes. And it's really unclear in terms of scope of those rules, other than that reference in Section 4. So I think that's something, a discussion that we need to have going forward. And one of the limitations that the board has is the fact that, and it's in the act itself, that our outside counsel is limited to 20 hours of related to business work per year. And one could easily consume to 20 hours of time. That's that much, a half week of work. On a variety of matters, just, for example, the research that may be required to look at the history of substantive rules may consume a number of hours.
Which I believe he may have, or does.
That is correct, but we
Yes.
haven't had a discussion of
Sure.
that, and there may be further research required, following our kind of a priority of that discussion. So I just wanted to reference that section in case our new board members weren't familiar with where it is in the act itself.
I think at this time I will entertain a motion to table the discussion of the substantive/procedural rules until our council, Mr. Henning, can return to our meeting starting in January.
I'd like to move that any discussion related to substantive rules be postponed until January, our next business meeting, where Mr. Henning can be present as our outside counsel in that discussion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Any further
I have
comments?
a question, with respect to, substantive rules. Has the city ever, or city council ever put forth a position as to whether the city or the city council believes that the Civil Service Board should in fact have substantive rules? Has there been ever an opinion expressed or, any statement regarding the merits of it, just from the city
I think I
standpoint?
can speak. Yes, the city has said that this board has an obligation by law, shall make, and city rules that need to be submitted to the city council and approved. I believe there's a section there that says such rules may include, should not be. I think it's the next section that says what some of the rules can.
Mhm.
Right.
Touch it. You should also know your procedural rules are the only ones that have been passed by this board and passed off by the city council. There's a substantive component to some of the things that are in there. For instance, the definitions section in there that talks about, and that's substantive, to me it's establishing what substantive rule, what something is, but also talks mainly about hearing procedure, that sort of thing. The city has said, and this was a discussion for some time, around 4.5 years ago when I came to work for the city, that the board needs to make these rules, and the board said they didn't need to make the rules, and then eventually the board said, okay, yeah, we probably do have to make rules. And they embarked on doing that, but then it never went anywhere. So all this time, this board has been operating without substitute rules. It used to be that this board routinely imposed itself on city policy discussions. They would want people to come talk to them about various things that, they could possibly be subject to substantive rules, but they didn't have any substantive rules. So the city said, if you want to espouse your opinion and try to use this legal authority, you need to have substantive rules if you want to have them.
Thank you.
Mr. Escovitz?
I'm wondering if we can get a hold of the minutes from, roughly 4.5 years ago, when there was discussion. I've only
I was
been
not
on
essentially in
about
that
3.5.
discussion at the time. It was started meeting before my time. So it would have been, I would say, anywhere from the spring of 2014. Probably this when discussion was on starting, probably through the fall of 2014.
Yeah, because Carol and I only came on in 15, so spring of 15. Is there any,
Sure.
could we do a little research within your department to see if there's any, look at the minutes and that discussion? That might be helpful in terms of a starting point to see what thoughts were at that time and go from there.
Sure.
I think will provide us
Yeah,
with
that's fine.
a little more background.
I'm not familiar with, tell me who,
I'm John Madison with the city attorney's office.
okay, thanks.
Is there any further discussion or questions? All in favor of the motion that's on the floor to table the discussion on the substantive/procedural rules to Mr. Henning can come back to our meetings in January, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So we will bring that up in January, with Mr. Henning, and I will get in touch with him and let him know what we've discussed today. I was taking notes while everyone was speaking. Is there any new business? Okay. Is there any public comment? Okay. And informal discussion about future agenda items. Well, we now have a January agenda item under the, matters that were tabled today, but are there any other, questions, concerns, Mr. Escovitz?
I'm just wondering if, in planning going forward, have there been any dates discussed in terms of, future grievance hearings for the board? And if so, when we begin looking at those dates, we may have to put our
I think
calendars.
Mr. Henning has been working
Yes,
on
I was
those.
to say, just to give you a quick update, so Mr. Henning and I have talked, Caroline has also reached out to council, and so I think at this point, some of the dates that we're looking at, which will go out to you all for your input, would be this is the last week of November, the first week of December, the December 3rd, 4th timeframe.
That, I could do that Monday,
Okay.
but I could not do the rest of that week. That's my,
Okay.
DSS court week.
Okay.
I do have some,
We do have a business meeting that
We do have a business meeting that first
Of
week.
the,
that
So
third,
that
the sixth.
Thursday,
Yeah.
right.
I've got pretty good availability the next week, the week of the 10th.
Okay.
That Thursday is probably out, but I could pretty much make anything other day work with advance notice.
Of the week of the 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
10th works for me that week.
Okay. And as I said, now that we've kind of narrowed it down a little bit from council side, we'll send dates out to you all, and we'll probably be looking at a couple of dates to hold, and because we do have 3 different cases or 3 different appeals that are to come to your attention, so we will need some additional time. So, but that's helpful to have the feedback, and then that way we can hopefully send out a little more concrete dates for your consideration. Yes.
So we're potentially looking at the week of, December 10th.
It sounds like the week of December 10th, there's more availability, because from the
Gentlemen?
discussions.
I've got a couple of appointments on, I got an appointment on Monday and then that Tuesday afternoon, so I don't know how long we're talking about.
The latter part of the week, maybe from Wednesday on.
I can't
We're
do
talking about
Thursday, but
Thursday.
the
We're
rest
doing
of
a
the
full
week.
day, or, I mean, how?
We typically do look at a
That's
full
what you
day.
were talking about
Yes.
earlier, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. okay.
Right. And again, we'll send out a poll for you all to provide your feedback on your availability.
Carter?
Monday and Tuesday.
Possible for you to, if we needed that week, for you to reschedule with this advance notice, or not?
Not for those 2 days, unfortunately, yeah.
And with advance notice, if Thursday's is best for everyone else, I can probably rearrange
Rearrange, okay.
that court matter, on
Thursday's
that
not,
day.
it's not best for me, but I can make it work
Okay.
if I have to that Thursday.
Yeah, I
With-
prefer not to, but if that's the best day, I can.
Are you saying
make it
Wednesday's a
work.
good day or not a good day?
No, Wednesday's fine,
Okay,
it's just not
Wednesday's fine,
Thursday.
yeah.
Wednesday.
Wednesday's good with me.
But you say we might need more than 1 day, is what you're saying?
We'll probably need to look at
Couple
a
days.
couple of days,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Possible. Any other, thoughts or discussion about future agenda items? Okay. Any other business that, to come before the board today? Okay. Well, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn into our December meeting. been moved and properly second that we adjourn into our December meeting, which I just looked at the date and I forgot.
I did too.
December 6th.
Yeah, okay, December sixth.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion